Hezbollah. You've probably heard the name, but what is it really? A political party? A massive social welfare network? Or one of the most powerful armed groups on the planet? Well, here's the thing. The answer is somehow all of the above. And today, we're going to unpack that exact paradox of power.
So let's start with the big question. What is Hezbollah? It seems so simple, right? But the answer is anything but. Seriously, depending on who you ask, you get a radically different story because this group wears a lot of different hats.
Okay, let's just try to wrap our heads around this. On one side of the coin, you have a totally legitimate political party. I mean, they've got seats in the Lebanese parliament, they run this huge network of social services, hospitals, schools, you name it. But then, you flip that coin over, and you've got this incredibly powerful paramilitary force, a group that's actually considered stronger than Lebanon's own national army. It's funded by Iran, and it's been designated a terrorist organization by major world powers like the U.S., the U.K., and the EU. So the question is, how on earth can one group be all of these things at the exact same time?
To really understand that paradox, we have to go back, right back to the beginning. See, Hezbollah wasn't born in a vacuum. It was literally forged in the fires of war and revolution. It was basically a perfect storm of three huge events. First, in '79, you get the Iranian Revolution, which unleashes this powerful ideology that's ready to be exported. Then, just a few years later, in '82, Israel invades Lebanon. This creates a massive power vacuum, and, crucially, it radicalizes the country's Shia population, who had been marginalized for a long, long time. By 1985, drawing on that new ideology and all that anger, Hezbollah officially steps onto the world stage.
And Iran's role here was incredibly direct and foundational. We're not just talking about sending a check. Iran sent 1,500 instructors from its own elite Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps. They were the organizational glue, the ones who pulled together all these scattered Shia militias and unified them into a single, cohesive force under one banner, Hezbollah, which means the Party of God.
But Hezbollah learned a lesson really fast. Military might alone isn't going to cut it. If you want real long-term power, if you want to truly embed yourself in the country, you need the loyalty of the people. And this is where their political game plan comes in. So, after the Lebanese civil war ends, Hezbollah doesn't disarm like the other militias. No way. Instead, they pivot right into politics, forming the loyalty to the resistance bloc. And today they hold 15 seats in parliament, which makes them a political force you simply cannot ignore.
But here's the really brilliant move, building this massive network of social services. Basically, anywhere the Lebanese state failed, Hezbollah stepped in. We're talking hospitals, schools, clinics, even things like garbage collection and fixing infrastructure. It created this deep-seated loyalty and, frankly, dependence, especially within the Shia community. And that loyalty, well, that provides the political cover they need for their military wing.
Which brings us neatly to that third, and probably most internationally known, side of Hezbollah, its incredibly powerful and sophisticated military arm. This is the wing that makes it one of the most formidable non-state actors on the entire planet. So, to really get a sense of the scale we're talking about here, their longtime leader, Hassan Nasrallah, he actually claimed back in 2021 that the group had 100,000 fighters. Now, okay, you can take that number with a grain of salt. It might be a little inflated for effect, but, and this is the key part, most analysts agree that their force is incredibly battle-hardened and, get this, bigger than many national armies, including Lebanon's. And then there's the arsenal. Wow, ever since their big war with Israel back in 2006, their stockpile of rockets and missiles has just grown exponentially. Current intelligence estimates put the number somewhere around 150,000, and we're not just talking about quantity, these are increasingly sophisticated and precise weapons. An army and an arsenal of this size costs an absolute fortune to maintain and grow. So where does the money come from? Well, according to U.S. officials, that's where their primary state sponsor, Iran, comes in. It's estimated that Iran provides around $700 million in funding every single year. That's the fuel for this massive military machine. So what's this military actually for? You don't even have to guess. You can go right back to their own founding manifesto from 1985. It's explicit. It says, "Our struggle will end only when this entity, Israel, is obliterated." This has been the core, defining goal of their military actions for decades. And because of those military actions and that ideology, it's no surprise that a whole range of countries and international bodies have designated Hezbollah, either the whole group or just its military wing, as a terrorist organization.
The list is long, but it includes the United Kingdom, the United States, the European Union, and even the Arab League.
All right, that brings us right up to the turbulent present. Because after decades of carefully building its power, a rapid-fire series of recent events has pushed Hezbollah to the edge, to the most dangerous and precarious position it has ever been in.
The conflict that kicked off in late 2023 has dealt the organization just a series of absolutely devastating blows. I mean, first, in September 2024, an Israeli airstrike killed Hassan Nasrallah, the charismatic leader who had been the face of the group for over 3 decades. Then, just a month later, his hand-picked successor, Hashem Safieddine, was also killed. This just created a massive leadership vacuum at the worst possible time.
And at the exact same time, the pressure from inside Lebanon has ramped up like never before. For the first time, the actual Lebanese government, with backing from the U.S., has formally approved a plan to disarm all militias in the country. And make no mistake, this plan, called the Homeland Shield Plan, is aimed squarely at Hezbollah. So what you're seeing here is this perfect storm, a two-front crisis that's just squeezing Hezbollah from all sides. From the outside, you've got the loss of their top leaders, the key ally in Syria is gone, and they're facing this relentless military pressure. And then, at home, internally, public trust has just tanked, especially after that devastating Beirut port explosion in 2020. The economy's in absolute ruins, and now their own government is making moves to take their weapons away. It's a massive squeeze. And that brings us to the final, critical question. The organization is weakened. It's facing immense pressure from the inside and the outside. And its main sponsor, Iran, is dealing with its own turmoil. So, can this paradox of power actually survive in a Middle East that is changing faster than ever before?